Well, I think that to actually start reporting judgments is very, very important, and I think that's a step forward. And it's a step which has been very, very reluctantly taken. There have been a lot of parents who've struggled to have judgments reported because they want to take matters further. But I think that, I would agree with Barbara and also with the judge about that most family courts get things right. I mean, it's a difficult job to do, and I think there's a great deal.
Get them right,
well, of course, a vast majority. But in the years that I've been practicing, there were more than just a few cases which I was extremely concerned about. And I know that I wasn't the only person to be concerned. And I think that we shouldn't just say, oh, tough, they're only a very small minority. We should be very concerned, and we should wrestle with that. And we should always be looking at improving our systems. And I certainly think there will be many cases where it will be completely inappropriate for the media to be involved. And I think there will be particularly lobbies like Fathers for Justice where they may well use the media and try and get the media in. And I hope that judges will be very robust and say this is a very personal matter and you don't need to report it. But it's when you're dealing with children who may be removed from home or children who may lose contact completely with one parent that these are matters which we all have an interest in.
There was a case last year where the Court of Appeal found that East Sussex County Council, they'd proceeded with an adoption placement a day before the father was due to fight his daughter's removal in court. Is that the sort of thing, those sort of cases, do you think will be improved by
Well, I
more
think
immediate
that,
coverage?
we'd probably all agree that there are miscarriages of justice which are very worrying and serious. But I just think as a general rule that if you have openness and you have transparency, and as long as you can get the right balance, and I know it's difficult to get the right balance so that you protect children and you protect their identity. I'm certainly not in favour of embarrassing children in any way or at all or invading their intimate lives. But I think that you must be working towards improving the situation, and child protection is difficult. We all struggle with it. We will hopefully be able to make better decisions if we have more openness.
In that particular case, the judge made a conscious decision to give a judgment in open court anonymised because he was, I can't remember if it was a he or a she, was concerned that people should know that particular bit of behaviour by a local authority was reprehensible.
Yes.
There's plenty of scope for that, and nearly all High Court decisions about children are fully reported in the law reports if people want to read them. But it's quite different to, in my little county court in Cambridge, Mr. and Mrs. Bloggs turn up, and unknown to them, somebody has tipped off the press and a reporter's sitting in the back.
Yes. But it's an odd world, though, that if somebody's had a child and then they're, I don't know, taken to care, maybe eventually adopted, something like that, probably the people closely associated with that family will know this anyway, or will at least be put on notice that something odd's gone on. Other completely anonymous people at the end of the country probably don't care one way or the other. Certainly the name won't mean anything to them. So it's a sort of strange way we're restricting reporting to stop a few extra people taking a bit more interest in it.
I'm not sure that that's really the right way of looking at it. When in medical research they anonymise, they actually take care to change some crucial details which are irrelevant to the report.
To throw people off the scent.
Throw people off the scent. If you simply say, Surrey child XYZ, then, the local school, all their mates will know, and I don't think most 12-year-olds want their mates to know that their father has accused their mother of entertaining men at 4 a.m. or whatever it might be.
Yes. Well, there's an MP, John Hemmings, a Liberal Democrat. He's taken an interest in this and I think came to the point of sort of threatening to reveal stuff in Parliament. But he says he's got details of 90 cases where mistakes have been made in family courts behind closed doors. And he notes along the way that more than half of all children taken into care below the age of 5 end up being adopted. So I'm not saying all of those would be mistakes, but it's quite big stakes in somebody's life if your child is taken away from you and ends up being adopted. This is not... I'm not trying to trivialise it, but it's not even as trivial as a sort of shoplifting conviction. This is so radical in your life that it can destroy you. And
the family court can impose a life sentence in a way that the criminal court can't. Our responsibility is far heavier than sending someone to jail when they know they can come out in 15 years, 20 years, or 2 years.
Or rather less, and in most cases,
In our case, if you take a child away from his or her birth family and they don't see them again during their childhood, that's huge.
Yes. But anyway, the general flow of events from the president of the family division, Mark Potter, downwards, as it were, is that there should be greater openness and transparency. And in a sense, you've won the day with your campaign. So, do you think things are flowing in your direction, Sarah Harman?
Well, I think so, and it's sort of interesting that you've mentioned John Hemmings. I mean, I don't know whether the cases that he's got have got any validity or not. But there was one case which went on in an ordinary county court, such as Judge Isabel Plumstead deals with, which was the case of the Webster family,
yes,
where 3 children were taken away because one was believed to have suffered non-accidental injury. And the mother just completely ran out of options. And what she did was she wrote to a television programme, and the media took up the case. So when she had her 4th baby, she knew that the local authority were planning to take this baby into care also and say that she wasn't a fit mother. The media swung behind her. John Sweeney, BBC reporter, the Mail on Sunday, I mean, whatever you think about them, they fought a very strong campaign. And in the end, the courts decided that the evidence was not reliable and that baby number 4 should be left with the Websters. Well, that opens the question about what happened to the first 3 children,
yes,
and what went on with that court.
And indeed in dozens of other cases.
And I have to say that I've read the judgments, which are now, because I was involved in that case for a time, and the evidence which resulted in those 3 children going into care was hair-raising. I'm sorry, it did not warrant those 3 children going into care. And this is maybe a tiny minority, but it's not acceptable that we have this. So I believe in openness per se, but I believe there's practical reasons why we should have openness to avoid these sorts of things happening, because these parents had to turn to the media when everything had run out. There was no avenue of appeal to them, no lawyers were interested. They had to turn to the media.